I think this week was really important because it allowed us to deal with some of the really critical resilience issues that we often don't get an opportunity to talk about, and that's the role of biodiversity in creating a resilient society and a resilient city. What we saw, I think, confirmed the fact that cities around the world are facing very similar problems in mainstreaming biodiversity in the resilience debate. So although the society is different, the geography is different, the resources are different, what we're seeing is the same manifestation of problems. So cities growing with great difficulty incorporating biodiversity in a meaningful way, a lot of projectization of the biodiversity issue rather than a more systemic approach. What was exciting about this session is the opportunity not only to see those problems materially in another geography, to understand that we're not alone, but also to have quite revolutionary conversations about what might need to change in order to bring biodiversity to the top of the resilience agenda.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we learned, or was reinforced again this week, was just the importance of place. And so even though we're coming from all around the world, and the Boulder context is very different from the Melbourne context, that we it reinforces some just consistent themes about the importance of place, the importance of relationships, the importance of integration and planning. Sure. Well, Boulder, as you know, is one of the first cities, as were all of the ones that were represented here today. And so we have a long and trusted relationship dating back now several years. And so the opportunity to come here to Melbourne and learn from my colleagues and my good friends is really the richness of the network.
It's been a wonderful week. It has been a privilege for Melbourne to host the 100RC Biodiversity Exchange. We've got many people to thank, from our colleagues in Wyndham, Banyule, Brimbank, and across the metropolitan Melbourne region, state government, and of course 100RC, who've made it possible to bring us all together. One of the things that is amazing about the 100RC network is the commonality and what each of our cities share, albeit that we all exist in different circumstances and situations. Putting this idea of thinking about biodiversity and how we run and protect and enhance our cities so that they are both more livable and more resilient today and for many years ahead is really pushing at the agenda. There are many people who work on this, but I think that what 100RC and our respective cities are doing is bringing this down to a deeply pragmatic level, and we're phenomenally excited about where this may go. So our thanks to everybody locally and internationally who's participated. Can't wait to see what comes next.
This week has been fantastic in Melbourne. There are many things that we learned, one of which is the importance of leveraging partnerships, not just with NGOs and other neighborhood organizations, but also with the cities that surround, cities and councils that surround areas. So for us in New Orleans, it's a huge lesson for us in the work that we need to do to prepare not just ourselves, but all the communities around us for our equal resilience across the area. The second thing I think that's really important is understanding the importance of biodiversity as cities grow and expand, and not only how we conserve areas for biodiversity, but how we continue to reinvest and redevelop our cities to include in the core of the cities biodiversity and the importance of that overall on the system. So those are two key things that I think are important that I think we could transfer to cities across the globe. What's amazing about what we have to do and the partnerships that we have with our fellow CROs is we bring solutions to the table that all of us can learn from. So what I learned from Melbourne, what I learned from Durban, what I learned from Paris, those are things that are interchangeable in many instances, not just in those cities, but in other cities in the network. And that's the biggest value, in my opinion, of 100RC, are the connections to the other CROs through the network.